Hi and welcome to my channel. So today I am removing these forks because I've got a little bit of seepage of the oil. I didn't just notice it, it's only just started. So it's at the early stages, but in all honesty the oil needs changing anyway, so we might as well do the whole strip down completely out. Clean new seals and dust seals, and obviously new oil. So got my slider to put this. You can use a socket, but they're cheap, £18 on eBay, delivered to your door. Got the seals, oil, and the clips to hold everything together. I had to buy a new ruler because I can't find my one. I probably got about 3 or 4 of them, but I looked everywhere, I can't find them, so I just bought another one. Yeah, so this is going to be like calipers off, front mud guard. I can get to, I have to take the front end off actually. That front end has to come off. Take them off. Yeah, normally on the super bikes you can do it with all the fairing intact, you just turn the steering, but with a Street Fighter type of bike, with this sort of thing, you can sort of get in there and slide the forks out from the bottom, but on the Z1000 you can't. I've uploaded a video, or I'm going to upload a video of the paintwork that I've done. Respray there, and the back end, the pillion cover and new tanks, so come up really nice. New stickers as well, that's had a full respray. Might take this off and respray this, to be honest. There's a couple of little stone chips on it, so, and I did that bottom bit as well because that was looking a bit tired. Yeah, so it's still, actually the weather today is horrible, so it's not biking weather for me. I'm a fair weather man, so I don't mind disabling this bike this time of year. Sort of end of March, we're getting towards now, so it's still bad weather. Hailstone yesterday. I've still got that one to take out if we do have a warm spell between now and fixing this, but I'd have this back on the road today anyway, so it's not a big job. It just depends if I start getting carried away, if I take all this off and I end up respraying it. So, which is, knowing me, is what I do. If I start taking things off, I don't put them back on. I have to do something with them to clean them up, make them look new again. But yeah, for a 2009 bike now, it's clean. It's just how I want it. Wheels are powder coated. Yeah, new chain sprocket. Just polished all the exhaust. Done that the other day. Just have to do them every now and then just to keep on top of them, because they do go sort of like a browny colour and start looking a bit blotchy. But yeah. So I'm going to jack up, I've tied down the back end, I'm going to jack it up with a bit of timber. So hopefully I'll pivot the bike upward. I have got one of them, the ones that go under here, but I want to check the headstock bearings while I'm at it. So if I feel anything slightly off, I'll end up doing the whole front end. So yeah, so if I pick the bike up or whatever, if I do it like this, at least then I can, you know, get a good feel for the front bearings and make sure there's no notch at the centre. So cause that's a common thing with bikes. So so yeah, I'm gonna start stripping it down now and go from there. Right, so I got to this stage where the wheel's off, calipers are off. And I got to the stage now where I thought I could simply just slide them out, but it turns out this whole unit needs to be moved out the way. So to gain access to where I want to be, firstly you need to move a bolt here, and then a little plastic dowel which is just inside here, which actually sits there. It's in the wrong place, but that actually sits in there, in a little plastic dowel. These little fellas, where you pull the centre out and then the whole thing comes out. Or actually one's snapped already, so I had to force that one out, put new ones in. So then it's a bit fiddly, but to get this out without breaking it, that's simply just remember how that goes. And then to just get this off, I thought when I first hit it, I thought I had to take these Allen key bolts off, which I couldn't get to because the bracket's in the way, and then screws. So I thought I thought this is going to be a bit of a job, this, to be honest. And it does need moving because, like I said, you cannot get to them. So I discovered that these little nuts here, one nut here and one this side, which I've already taken off. I'll take this side off now, and then it's actually really simpler than it looks. This then just slides forward and then lifts off these little hooks like that, like so. I've already had this apart, so I took all the wires off, so I took the pipes off. This little fella here, I don't know what that is. And obviously the side lights, I just left them sort of hanging there. Make note of which one's your main beam and your side light. So I just left them in situ sort of thing, in that size, in that side. Otherwise, you could end up with lights being the wrong way around, and it'd be a bit tight trying to change them around there. So that's it really. So now you loosen these. So you loosen the top one first, and then you loosen this one, not the top, this top nut, the gold one. If it's different colour than yours, it's the bottom one. And that loosens your shock assembly, so you can be able to, once you've got all this removed. The reason why I say leave it in the bike to loosen is because you don't want to be putting this on a vise or any grips on it, because it's anodized and you'll mark it and scratch it. So it's best to leave it clamped in the yoke and loosen it now. Just loosen it, just give it a little nick, and loosen it a little bit, just enough so you can hold it when it's off, and you can take that out and retrieve your inners, springs, washers and spacers. And that's it really. I don't normally show, like I said, I don't normally show this, but I thought with this one, it did actually stun me a little bit. So it took me, 10 minutes to just figure it out what I was going to do with it. And nearly myself looked on Google or the Heinz manual that I've got on the side, but I just pushed through it and I figured it out. I just looked around and I saw these at the top and I thought, oh, what do they do? So got a bit of rust on this here, so I had to sort that out. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to do that now, and then we'll strip we'll do the driver's side first. The driver's side, passenger side, there is no passenger side on bikes, but we'll do this one first, the one that's actually leaking, and then we'll do that one last. So right, I'm going to crack on with the rest of this now. Right, I thought I'd just show you this actually. It's also good practice while it's on my memory, is to measure and make note or take a picture of how much that how much that's up, because this will make a massive difference to your handling of the bike. So it's just a good idea just to measure it and take a picture, or you could draw a line. Sometimes you can see where it was. I don't like taking that risk, so I just like to just give it a quick measure and take a video of that. And also what I was talking about before, I've actually loosened it, so is to just see that now. I just enough to just snap it out of place. Yeah, just enough to snap it out of place. So I'll just loosen that one. Got my 22 mil, 24 mil, slightly too big, but I don't want to mark. So you don't want to mark this. I haven't got a spanner big enough, open-ended spanner, so I just carefully did that, because otherwise, if you chew all this up, it looks nasty, doesn't it? So you don't want to chew that out. So don't use grips and stuff like that. I myself was a little bit lazy and couldn't be bothered looking for the right size spanner, so just use that, because I was just gauging. If it was really tight, I wasn't going to bother because it would have dug in and looked a mess, but it actually turned out it wasn't that tight. I just had to hold this here and that there. Bear in mind as well, depending how you jack up your bike, just be careful how much force you put into it, because remember it's only, you know, I've even got it secure and balanced, but it's still only balancing, so you'd only be yanking on it. So it's good to have a friend to sort of hold the bike in place while you're loosening certain plate things off. These turned out not to be even tight, to be honest, so I will check the torque settings on them when I put it back together. It just felt a little bit looser than I expected. I just didn't feel like it was much to it, to be honest. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead now and slide this out. Okay, so I've had it out and I've had it apart, but I've just put it just roughly back together just to show you how it all comes about. So you've got an Allen key nut, which is at the bottom of here, which is still in there. So you loosen that off. Sometimes you have to put a bit of pressure on the shock, so the damper, so it doesn't spin, the damper on the inside, but in my case I didn't have to, I was lucky. So that just simply goes in there, and you just loosen that off. I think it's a 6mm, so 6mm Allen key, straight out there, and then your spring and your shock will just slide out. I've already drained it, well, most of it. Make note of a spacer that's inside, and it sits that way round. See, that way round, and this is your assembly. Now you can, I might not do this in this case, because what I've done is I've like moved it up and down to empty the shock, the damper, but you can if you want, which is quite difficult. You need a special tool for this, but you can just pull that down and get to that lock nut in there, and there's a lock nut just inside there. Put this seated properly. There's a little lock nut just inside there, and what you do is lock nut in there and this one here, and then you can just take this whole assembly out, and then you can move the pin in and out as you please to empty all the oil out of there. I feel like I've done enough. There's nothing left in there now. Simply just by pushing up and down on it, putting all my weight on it. So I don't feel like I need to do that now. So I'm going to put that to one side. I may do it, knowing me. And then you just need to remove. I've done it half of it with a flathead screwdriver. Bear in mind, do not damage your shock because it will look a mess. So that's just simply all I do is make sure you've emptied all your oil. First state of that. Over to its change. So you just simply being careful to just take the dust seal off, and then you've got like a little clip just inside here, which is you'll need to remove that, which I'm going to do in a sec. I'll do it now, and then I'll be back with you. So flathead screwdriver, and just prise it out, being careful not to hit your shock. Remember, just take your time, there's no rush. It can be a bit tricky, especially when you're like me and you're trying to be careful with it all and not cause any damage to the shock itself. And that just then slides on out of there, and then because I've got new ones, just bend it out the way. That's it, that one. You can see where the screwdriver, I was getting the screwdriver just in there. And then to get this out, you've got the oil seal, the shock seal, which is just there, and you kind of just use this whole assembly as like a sliding hammer. And that's how you separate the outer to the actual inner. Now make note of all your spaces and seals and everything else. So you're going to have your oil seal, washer, and these spaces then. That one just stays in place, I think. That one doesn't move anywhere. So, oh no, we do move that. Yeah, so you put these in note, or take a picture of your camera, and let's give it a good clean, everything a good clean, and inspect all this then. Give all this a good clean, and inspect the whole piston for any sort of scars or marks, scratches, because it will leak again. And if you have, get 1500s, 1200s and just sand it down. Not this way, but that way, like that. In my case, I've got a good one, so I've got no scoring, no marks, no scratches. But sometimes, especially down here where the weather gets to it, stone chips and it can just get a little bit corroded. Just get little 1200s and that way, like that. Do not go that way, because if you go that way, you're putting minute little scratches on, and the oil seal, when you put your new seals on, may leak again, and you just wasted your time. So, right, I'm gonna disable all this, take it all apart, and then I think the next one, see me was when I'm putting it all back together, put the oil in. Okay, so now I've got it all cleaned out, nice and clean, all the inside, no dust, I blew it out with the compressor. Now I always, just a little bit of tape, insulation tape over the rough edges, get a little bit of oil. I use the oil that I use for the fork, so there's no contamination of other oils, just some of oils. Always the way. Sort that out in a minute. So now you get your dust seal, new one. Make sure it's the right way. It's always good to keep everything in order so you can see. And then you'll get your dust, your oil seal. And if you forget where it goes, the spring goes on the inside and the chamfered edge faces the world. So if you've got the shock like this, there's always a chamfered edge on these. So if you do get mixed up, that chamfered edge faces outward. It's always good just to make sure that you keep everything in order. And then we have our washer. Then we have our spacer. And then this one, I have to remove the insulation tape for that one, because that sits back in this little groove. So, and then without overstretching it or trying to force it, just carefully, just enough stretching just to go over that lip, nice snug, and then just make sure it spins nice and freely in that space there. and that is your assembly. And then what I do now is I'll get my tool and I will use that little sliding hammer to drive the seal and the washers back into their home. As easy as that. So I'll set that up now and then we'll do that. Okay, so I've got my little slide hammer set up. This is the fun bit. So I find that I keep it to the side because otherwise you're trying to hold it up unless you get someone to hold it for you, your mate, girlfriend or wife. And just drive that seal in. And you know when you've got enough because you'll see where that little clip goes in. I think that just about does it. Normally this little kit, it doesn't go further, so you can't go too far. And you can tell by the sound as well, it's like a metallic, it changes tone when you know it's home. And that is all the way in. This has got like a little uppers so it doesn't touch your actual shock. And that now is ready to push the dust cap in, well the clip in, then the dust cap. Shouldn't I? Greasy fingers as well. Again, this can be fun. It's always handy to have someone at hand just to just push that in place. And you'll hear it click in. Make sure it's all nice and clicked in. I don't know if you can see that, guys. See it just a little bit, just up here there. And that is your new. And then slide your dust seal down and just push that in by hand. Then you reattach. I like to put a little rag just around here because you don't want to see how that can happen. So in a minute I'm going to tie a rag around there because you don't want to push that seal into here and cause possible damage. It's easily done. And we just simply slide that into place with the spacer that I nearly forgot. What have I done with that? So it's good to I've actually set up a table there so I don't lose bits, and now I'm looking for something. There we go. It's actually got a little bit of old oil in there, get that off of there. Don't want that back in there, do we? If you pull it in like this, it won't fall out. Obviously I'm going to just knit that up, and then we'll slide that back down to put the oil in. Don't go too tight, these. I know that because a few years ago I snapped one. So now that's in there, we can now pour the oil in. And there we go. And that's it. Which is, I think, it's about 430 ml in these when it's completely dried out. So I'll pour that in now, and then you can do it from a measure as well, from the top with the spring in. But I'm not going to get the spring in there really, am I? The measure. So I'm going to have to measure it with the by mil. Okay, so I'm going to put the oil in. Because I completely drained the whole oil out of the shock, the spring, and cleaned it all. This is a measurement of 430. So to just keep obviously the shock upright. And I find on this, if you just pour it so it hits the plastic, if you got this plastic spacer, not always got it, it doesn't go all over the place and then get mismeasurement. And you just pour it on in there. You may have to pump this. Sometimes it can get to the top and then just works its way down. So far so good. Again, don't rush it. No need to rush it. What I find now is now, because it's at the top, just give it a little, I'm not pumping the shock, I'm just moving the outer, just to expel any like air bubbles in there, and then start again, pouring the oil in. You can tilt it to one side if you want. It's nice and steady. Now this is a normal process if you change the oil, but there's different methods to that. Because you don't, when you just change the oil, obviously, if your seals are okay and you just want to change the oil, this is the process you go through. So you just loosen this top knot here, like I showed earlier on in the video, and you just simply just pour the oil out. And what I do is I'll pour the oil, as long as you haven't got a major leak and it's been leaking for a while, as long as you catch it in time, is you pour in a measuring cup the oil you got out, and then you just put the same measurement back in. As long as the person who built them in the first place put the right amount in, and again, you haven't leaked massive amounts of oil. So you've got to take all that into account. You can measure it, but some bikes want the spring out for that measurement, and some bikes don't. So it's always handy to check the manufacturer's way of doing it. And then what you do then is you just tighten it all up. I still haven't found that spanner, so I'm carefully just gonna tighten it up just enough, just to get that seal closed off. So if you spill it or tip it up by accident, you're not going to lose all your oil, your measured oil. And then I just put a little rag on top of there so it hurts your hands, and then just pump it up and down a few times, get the air bubbles out of that shock, out the damper, and give it a good clean. Now since I got this off, I've decided, because this is me, I'm going to spray all this. I'm going to prep it all. Looks like gunmetal grey, so I'm going to go back to stock colour just to brighten things up a bit, because it's looking a bit tired on the front here. So I'm going to mask all this off now. I might as well, since I got it all off, I'll have it all looking fresh and clean again. So, but that's it, that's all there is to it. Pretty easy job, to be honest. You know, if you read the manual properly and stuff, you can do it yourself. I think the going rate now is like £280, £300 for these to be done. Probably a bit more on a bike like that, because you have to take something a little bit more apart than the normal super bike that I normally do. So you're looking at £300, and it cost me £31 for the parts and a couple of hours work. And I've really been taking my time as well, so I've not really been rushing it. So yeah, I'll spray these up, put it back together, and I'll do the finished at the end of the video. Well, I finished both of them. New seals, new oil, and I decided to spray them as well and lacquer them. So nice and looking fresh. I'm just gonna throw them back on the bike, cover the bike up to spray in. Well, yeah, I'll get on that now. Get it all back together. And yeah, all went well, to be honest. Gunmetal grey, and then 2-pack lacquer. Stuff there. So yeah, well, I'm going to get it back together now, and she's back on the road. Took a little bit longer because obviously I decided to spray them in the end, but they've got that fresh look now. They match the calipers as well, so they're gunmetal grey as well. So yeah, it's a clean bike now. Really happy with it. So so it's all finished. As you can see, I did the this is a voiceover, by the way, because I had noise in the background. So that's it now, all done, back together. As you can see, it's kind of matching the calipers. So it's much better. And I even cleaned up the bolts. I had my usual little trick where I put them in a drill and turn them. And I've done them up there as well. Tidied it up a bit, make it look a bit better. They're just new ones that come with the calipers. That now just looks, as you can see, it just looks clean and tidy now that I've done them. That respray, the gunmetal grey. My mate did say to do the calipers as well, but I don't really want to mess with them, to be honest. So I'll leave it alone. Thanks for watching.